Toon here, and today's video is basically going to be like a little story time topic about my fun jobs and the work experiences I've had, and some really fun, basically, experiences being a female presenting person in customer service. So, before I do talk about today's topic, first I do want to talk about what I am drawing in the background. So I'm actually working on a art print for Rosalina, from like Mario games and all. I'm actually going to be selling her at like a little pop-up shop that I am having for my school. So she won't really exactly be available fully to the public. Eventually I would actually love to do that, but if you guys really like it. But yeah, I had drawn like a lot of fan art for the pop-up shop, and Rosalina and Peach and Kiriko, and also all of the Powerpuff Girls have been ones that I've done so far, and this is basically just one of them, and you get to see the progress in the background. Alright, so now let's go ahead and talk about today's topic, which is about my really weird experiences with interesting individuals at work. So I actually haven't really worked that many jobs. I didn't start working until I was about 16. And those jobs I managed to stay at for a pretty long amount of time. So I never really had over 10 jobs. I thought it was stupid to repeatedly jump over small little things. I just never got the concept of it. I had friends that at the age of 17 had over 10 jobs already, and I just thought it was kind of stupid, but I usually always stayed at a job even if I didn't really like it all that much. But eventually I would take my departure if the job completely rubbed me the wrong way. I never actually left a job because of the customers, but there's one job that I will be leaving because of the customers, and I will not get into what exactly the name of the job is, since I technically still work for the company, as the time of making this video, but I'm pretty sure that you would be able to guess, especially if you do live in America. So, first things first, let's actually just go ahead and get into the little story times. So I'm going to talk about my first weird interaction. So at my third job, ever, like I said, my first two jobs, I worked at an amusement park, and I also worked at a birthday place for children. I never actually had any weird interactions at those jobs. I left those jobs because management was absolutely horrible. So I actually had left both of those jobs. Well, the first one I left for the birthday place, and then the birthday place I actually left for a clothing store. And I loved working at this clothing store because if you know me, and you probably don't know if you're new here, I love fashion. I love dressing up. I'm very into girly type things. So basically, I was excited to work here because this place had really cute clothes, plus I get a discount. The management was actually pretty good. The coworkers were really good. The discount was good, and the work wasn't really that hard. All I really had to do was just kind of greet customers, fix up the floor, basically check out customers, push for them to buy our perfume, which actually kind of smelled pretty good, but some people disagreed, so that's to each their own. And I also basically worked on the dressing rooms. If people wanted to get into the dressing room, I would stand by it, let them in, and they would go in, change their clothes, and such. So the job was actually pretty laid back, and it was pretty easy. I never really had any angry customers. I never had anybody really yelling at me. The most I literally ever had was just moms coming in and getting a little bit of a side eye towards us because of the type of clothes that we sold. The clothes that we sold weren't really that explicit at all, but if you're the type of mother that likes to dress up your kids like they're going to church or a nun, it's not really for your children. The whole story is targeted towards teenagers or young adults, mainly young adult women, and teenage girls. That's mainly what its target is. But, if you don't want to dress your kid like that, then don't go there. Okay, so, the dress code at this job wasn't really that strict at all, actually. It was pretty laid back, and I personally actually preferred that because I always dressed up. I would always dress up and wear the cutest clothes, but sometimes I just didn't feel like it, and like half my hair was done. I would just look a hot mess already, like my makeup was smeared and I'm in a hoodie and sweatpants. But you know, I didn't really care. I was just there to make money. Sometimes dressing up cute and getting all dressed up and cute for my job was a bonus. So except for this one day, I actually was at the cashier. I was a cashier at this time and this day. And this customer came up and he was asking about the cologne. And I basically started to advertise some of the cologne that we have and whatever scents he likes. He looked about 18 to 19 years old. He basically grabbed the cologne that he wanted, and I was checking him out. Asked him the basic questions, you know, pushing sales, yada yada yada. He said no to all. And he asked, "Hey, are you single?" So, at the time, I actually wasn't in a relationship. I never was, but in situations like this, you say yes, no matter what. Even if you're not in a relationship, if you've never been in a relationship before, if you're not even interested in dating, you always say yes in a situation like this, because most of the time they will leave you alone, sometimes they won't, and they'll get really weird. And in this situation, it didn't really work all that well. So I actually proceeded to say yes to him, and he responded with, "Why?" I'm like, "Because why not?" And he responds with, "I could treat you better." I laughed. I laughed right in his face, because what the actual hell? And I responded with, "Yeah, okay." He sighed, and he basically just said, "Okay, does he at least treat you well?" And I was like, "Yes." And he responded with, "Okay, well, that's good at least." And then he left. Okay, for one, that's absolutely just weird. I never understood personally the concept of asking out workers, especially if they're on the job, in a position where we are supposed to be nice and the quote-unquote customer is always right situation. It's not cool, and it's just highly inappropriate, and to be honest, I'm gonna be dead honest right now with this whole story time. This is only the tip of the iceberg. Okay, so let's go into the next story, which was actually at my fourth and my current job. Actually, when writing the script for this video, it made me realize how bad this job really is, especially if you are female presenting. It's not the best, and the dudes are very weird. They're very creepy, and they will make creepy comments towards you, and I have dealt with it. But the issue with me is I am a small person. I'm not saying that to be like, "Oh, I'm so small." No, I am genuinely a small person. I started working at this job about when I was 17 years old, and I am continuing to work here, and I'm 19. And when I basically just started working here, I didn't expect anything of it. But like I said, this stuff actually happened when I was about 18 years old, so I was already working on register and such. Although I am about 4'8", 4'9", around that. I don't want to give specifics. I'm 4 foot. And being small, working at this job, it's probably one of the worst things in my entire life, and I do not recommend for any other person. Let's go ahead and get into the first creepy interaction I ever had at this job. So, we'll start, with this man. I was a fresh 18-year-old, actually. And these two men came in, and they smelled absolutely god-awful. One was asking for a game. He called it the game with the animals that are crossing, and I was like, okay, yeah. He did a big chuckle, and it took me a minute to realize, and I was like, oh, Animal Crossing. I grabbed the game for him, and he looks me straight in the eyes and says, "You're so adorable and tiny. How old are you?" I stated my age to him, and he says, "Oh, you're so cute. You look 12. Excuse me?" Highly inappropriate for one, absolutely weird, and definitely not cool. I asked him if he wanted to get a protection for his game, and he went ahead and actually got his protection. Because I was so baffled by what he said, I kind of forgot to give him his sticker. So he went ahead and left, and before he walked out the door, I realized I forgot to give him his sticker, and I ran up to him, and I handed him his sticker, and I kid you not, I legit kid you not, that this man looked me dead in the eyes again, and said, "You're cute, small, and kind. You're such wife material. I'll definitely be coming back." I kinda just smiled, and I laughed, but right afterwards, I just felt absolutely grossed out and violated, because that is ridiculous and that's gross. I don't understand or comprehend why people even act like this, but luckily, I never saw this guy again. So, let's go into the last story, since we're kind of running out a little bit of time here. The last story is the Final Fantasy guy, as I like to call him. Now, I'm not the hugest fan of Final Fantasy, personally. I like the story, I love the characters for every Final Fantasy game, but I never actually fully played a Final Fantasy game, personally. I'm actually a hardcore Kingdom Hearts fan. It's my main fandom, and that's just a little fun fact if you didn't know. So, when I get the chance to talk about my favorite thing that I've been obsessed with since I was a kid, I immediately grab onto that moment. So this man, he's short, looks like a green M&M. He wears a green shirt, has a neck beard, and he kind of sounded like this. This man was creepy. I got the vibes the minute he walked into the store, and he came in on one day and just circled the store for a bit. Then he started to slowly walk up to the counter, and as I thought he was going to check out, he wanted to just talk and have a conversation. So he walked up and asked how I was, and I basically just told him I was doing well and what could I do for him. He kind of just sighed and was like, "Do you know any games like Final Fantasy?" And I basically was like, "Yeah, I can't really think of many, but Kingdom Hearts is a lot like Final Fantasy in gameplay and kind of storytelling wise." He just said something else, and I responded with, "I don't know. Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy are kind of their own type of game, and I apologize. Is there anything else I can help you with?" He said no, but thank you. And okay. That's what all I said was okay. He said, "But I do want to say something." I said, "Yeah, what's up?" And he's like, "You're beautiful." Okay, yeah, this is getting weird already. And I just responded with, "Thank you." He says, "Do you have a boyfriend?" And I didn't, but I say, yes. He says, "Oh, okay, well, bye." And he just leaves. This guy just gives off really creep vibes, and I knew that every time he would come in, I should be more mentally prepared for him. He came in a couple more times actually asking me how to find love, and also still asking me the same question about the Kingdom Hearts thing or Final Fantasy and wondering what games are like Final Fantasy. He actually pulled the same thing on many of the women that worked at the store, like my old manager, and who is married, and asked her, "Hey, you want to be together?" And she obviously said no and got weirded out. We actually haven't seen him since. Okay, so this is actually my last story with creepy customers, and sadly, this is just what customer service workers have to deal with. And it's just absolutely annoying and disgusting. I actually lately haven't gotten a creepy comment or creepy interactions in a while, but I do get comments on my height in a weird way, and I do take it weird because of my height, and it gets fetishized by men a lot. So I just find it gross when a 30-year-old man comments on how small I am and makes me uncomfortable, and I still will always get those. All I have to say is just don't harass workers. We are here to check out your products, smile and greet you, and nothing more. Your local Target isn't a dating app, neither is your McDonald's. Just download Tinder or work on something with your partner. Stop trying to talk to us freshly 18 or underage workers. It's gross and it's not hot. But thank you guys for watching the video. If you like the art you see, go ahead and check out the link in the description below, which actually has my card and all of the links to my social medias. Plus, you can check out my webcomic, Dorothy My Darling, on Webtoon in that same link. You guys have a great rest of your day. Bye!